This is JP with Political Pop Culture, and this is my take. Democrats are beginning to lose the battle for public opinion regarding mask mandates. Florida hasn't had mandates since mid-2020, and that state is thriving. North Dakota just voted a couple weeks ago to cancel mask mandates, and now both Texas and Mississippi have followed suit. So this begs the question, with the science and the CDC numbers not on their side, how will Democrats further their narrative going forward? How can they continue spreading their message of fear and reliance on the nanny state when the facts and the science are against them? Well, by switching from a science-based message to their old standby, racism. MSNBC's Joy Reid ignited a firestorm with a tweet saying that conservatives would trade all the tax cuts for the ability to openly say the N-word like in the good old days. Okay, before I get into this ridiculous and openly racist tweet from Joy Reid, let me just set the stage for you on how depraved Joy Reid's thinking really is. And I do feel the need to warn you, I found this clip to be a little disturbing.
Jason, there is a term called necropolitics, which is essentially the politics of who gets to live and who gets to die. And these states, what they have in common is that they have structures which say that black and brown lives matter less. And so all that matters is that the black and brown people get their behinds into the factory and make me my steaks, make me my stuff, get there and do my nails, work, get back to work now and do the things that I, the comfortable, affluent person, need. Isn't that what we're seeing? I mean, that's what it feels like to me. Necropolitics in states like Texas.
Oh, yeah. The Hunger Games would be more humane, right? If they made people line up and fight for vaccines, at least then you have a fighting chance. No, they're just going to starve people. And it's always seemed ironic to me that the party of supposedly family values is basically saying, you kids starve, auntie starves, uncle starves, and my wife and my smart son get to eat and get to live and get the vaccine.
This is one of the most vile, reprehensible, intellectually dishonest, and frankly disgusting things that I have ever seen aired on a major news network. The fact that MSNBC has not fired Joy Reid and severed their contributor agreement with Jason Johnson over this segment is disheartening, but it's not surprising because this is the new narrative. Hey, Florida's getting vaccines out to people successfully? Better make sure the narrative is that the vaccine is being given mainly to rich white people. Red states are dropping mask mandates and allowing businesses to reopen? Well, time to claim that the reasoning behind opening is racist because white people just want people of color to, quote, get their behinds into the factory and make my steaks, make me my stuff. So I guess in Joy Reid's sick, twisted imagination, only people of color work. There are no whites working in restaurants or factories. Those are all just black and brown people working to do the bidding for white folk. Jason Johnson saying the Hunger Games would be more humane? Dude, what in the world is wrong with you? This guy is a professor of journalism. Do you want your kids learning from a man like this? Then you've got the tweet that Joy Reid sent out. Now, Reid's tweet was a response to Jason Johnson's response to a tweet posted by a writer and former Wall Street Journal and New York Times op editor, Barry Weiss. Weiss posted a link to an article that she had written entitled The Self-Silencing Majority. Now, I'm going to link the article in the comments in case you'd like to read it, but the gist of what she said is that people on both the red and blue sides of the political spectrum are afraid. They're afraid to speak out about certain things for fear of reprisal from those with differing political opinions. But that the real fear of reprisal is fear of reprisal from, as Weiss calls them, the illiberal left. When she talks about fear of the illiberal left, she's talking about Democrats' fear of the illiberal left. She's talking about people who are center left being afraid of the illiberal left, those fringe people on the far, far left. We talk about cancel culture all the time, and this is cancel culture at its absolute most dangerous. In the article, Weiss talks about people in the business world as well as people in college having to self-censor in order to survive in their workplaces and universities. This is a quote from the article, a quote that was from an email sent to her by somebody just starting out in their journalistic career. I never thought I'd practice the kind of self-censorship I do now when pitching editors, but these days I have almost no power to do otherwise, a young journalist writes. For woke, skeptical young writers, banishment and rejection awaits you if you attempt to depart even in minor ways from the sacred ideology of wokeness. Now, how did Jason Johnson, a journalism professor and MSNBC contributor, respond to Ms. Weiss's post? By playing the race card. Johnson said, quote, "Yes, because code switching, mask wearing, and all of the other hoops that black people have to go through to appease enough of the majority to even get into law school isn't the issue, but censoring yourself from saying the N-word amongst friends is." Johnson's response is ludicrous. Anyone with a modicum of ability to comprehend the written word would realize that Weiss's article is not about having to self-censor yourself because of racism. Johnson brought race into the conversation to try and silence and discredit Weiss's point of view, and in doing so, he literally made her case. You can't say anything the illiberal left disagrees with, or they will do everything in their power to crush you for it. Enter MSNBC host and far-left loon, Joy Reid. Quote, "I'll say it again. People on the right would trade all the tax cuts for the ability to openly say the N-word like in the good old days. To them, not being able to be openly racist and discriminatory without consequence is oppression. Trump is the avatar for this, quote, freedom." Everything she said in that tweet was a lie. People on the right love tax cuts and would prefer to not give them up for anything, first of all. They also don't care at all about saying the N-word publicly or otherwise. Oppression isn't about not being able to say the N-word, you racist piece of garbage. Oppression isn't not being able to be openly racist and discriminatory without consequence. Oppression is about not being able to speak your mind, about not being able to share your political point of view without being targeted and branded falsely as a racist, bigot, misogynist, homophobe, or whatever your istophobe cult is currently labeling those they disagree with as. Being afraid of losing your reputation, your job, your friends, your family, that is oppression. And if you want to be a decent human being, which you clearly are not, you would not only admit that, but you would stand up and fight against it. So again, how do the Democrats push their narrative when the science is against them? By race baiting, by unabashedly lying, and by doubling down on the politics of division. That's my take. I would love to hear your take on Joy Reid, Jason Johnson, and the Democrats' policy of weaponizing race. Let me know what you think in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, please take a second to leave us a like, upvote, or rumble. That little act of support really does make a big difference, and it really helps the channel a lot. You can also join the cult at Pol Pop Cult on Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Thank you for listening.